VillainCon Minion Blast is in technical rehearsal, and we have reviews.
There's a new guest assistance card.
And things will be stranger at Horror Nights this year.
This is episode 569, dudes, of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. That took me by surprise. I don't even know where that came from there, to be fair, but why not? I am your host, Lee, for this week. We are getting closer and closer to Tracy coming back. But she's not here this week, of course. We are going to hear from her, though. But I am joined, as usual, by Chris.
Bogus.
And Michelle.
What up?
And this week's Tracy is John Gregory. Hey, John.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so as we've been doing while Tracy's been away, we've been inviting guests. John is a Producers Club member, so of course we want to get him to introduce himself to you. So John, quickly introduce yourself and tell us what your favourite Universal Orlando park, ride and food item is, please.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm John Gregory. Actually used to blog for the UUOP blog a while back. Yeah. And my favorite park is Islands of Adventure. Favorite ride is Hagrid's. And favorite food item in the parks is the smoked brisket crepe at Central Park Crepes.
See, I need to have that again, because when I had it last year, by the time I got it, it was cold, so it wasn't really that good. There's a long story.
Yeah.
I'm not going into it.
Yeah, try the pretzels, man. That's where it's at.
The pretzels?
Yeah.
I'm confused now. That went over my
That's
head.
his favorite park item.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Alexa,
I'm not going to let it go.
I didn't know what he was talking about, so I'm not involved. I love you. Chris apparently doesn't. Anyway, we have got a lot to get to. Universal have dumped a crap ton of stuff on us, and of course, we are going to start this week, as we do every week, apart from last week, because we didn't, or every other week, with little things from Seth.
Hi, this is Seth Kaburski, co-author of the Unofficial Guides. Back again with a bite-sized look at all the little things that are new around the Universal Orlando Resort for late July of 2023. Obviously, the big new thing going on at Universal Studios Florida is the soft opening, or technical rehearsals, for VillainCon Minion Blast. Here are a few little tips to help you out if you are checking out this new interactive attraction. The moving walkway is capable of handling about 1,440 guests per hour, but they've been leaving some spots empty because the computers behind the video game system simply can't handle the load. So they're actually getting closer to 1,200 guests per hour through the ride, assuming it doesn't break down. When you're on the attraction, look for the physical glowing power-up blocks located near some of the screens to give your blasters standard ammo and upgrade, which will then let you hit the bad guy on each level enough times for them to spawn their own special launcher ammo. Grab that ammo and shoot it against them to earn the big points. Unfortunately, those blasters have proven a bit heavy for some little kids. If your little minion can't hold the 4-pound weapon for the entire 6 minutes of the ride, ask instead for a non-working toy gun that lets the little ones pretend to play along. Also in the new Minion Land over at Pop-Banana, if you are a fan of the banana-flavored popcorn, here's some good news. Even though it's not advertised, you can use the standard refillable popcorn buckets sold elsewhere in the park and get them filled with banana popcorn for a discounted rate at the stand. Okay, the other big news this week was confirmation that Dreamworks animation characters are coming to the former Kid Zone. Even though we've known this for a while already, we got some updated concept art that shows that, yes, Woody Woodpecker's roller coaster is being taken over by the Trolls. But I think the interesting little bit of news in the big news was that Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse is going to be taking up residency, probably as a meet and greet, possibly located near the former Dreamworks destination aka Barney Theater. In case you don't have a 4-year-old, Gabby's Dollhouse is a popular animated show available on Netflix. And of course, the other big thing we've heard some announcements about recently is Halloween Horror Nights 32. If you're excited for Stranger Things to return to the event, you can already pick up some Stranger Things preview merchandise in the Five and Dime store in Hollywood. You can also pick up things like your Frequent Fear Pass, but keep in mind this year you must pick a date to start the usage of your Frequent Fear Pass, and it's possible certain nights could sell out. Alternatively, you can also now purchase a Scream Early Pass, which allows those without daytime tickets to get into the parks a few hours early and take advantage of the early opening of certain haunted houses. The catch is that this year, the price for that has gone up to $40. And as far as preparations for the Halloween event go, we've spotted staging and props getting set up in the New York area, across from Revenge of the Mummy, and also in Diagon Alley for what could be the appearance of Death Eaters in that park for the first time. A few notes around the rest of the studios. Sad to report that the Imhotep animatronic at the beginning of the Revenge of the Mummy ride has been out of commission for at least a little while now. Mel's Drive-In is also still out of commission during its refurb, so Cafe La Bamba across the street continues to stay open, and its bar is open as a temporary Starbucks location, while the main Starbucks in the New York area is refurbed. I've noticed some turbidity barriers floating in the Universal Studios Florida Lagoon. That's possibly some early prep work for the promised new Lagoon show, which probably won't open until 2024. And keep an eye out in the coming weeks for a brand new Universal Studios Florida map, which will redefine the boundaries between Minion Land and Production Central, as well as possibly reclassifying some attractions of the old Kid Zone that don't fit into the upcoming Dreamworks theming. Here's a heads-up tip. I've been told that the Hello Kitty and Betty Boop store, as well as the Today Cafe, which are currently classified as Production Central, will be rebranded as part of Hollywood. And stepping outside the parks into the hotels, where Magical Dining is going to kick off from August 18th through October 1st. This annual special sees $40 and $60 fixed-price menus available at several restaurants inside the resort hotels, including the Kitchen, the Palm, and Islands Dining Room at the Royal Pacific.
Ooh.
And last but certainly not least, Universal has just introduced a new system for their accessibility services. If you or someone in your party has sensory issues or another reason for being eligible for a guest assistance pass, you're going to want to go to accessibilitycard.com and fill out the new application with the IBCCES, which is an umbrella organization that handles autism services and similar programs for Universal, SeaWorld, Legoland, and other theme parks around the country. The bad news is that you are going to need to log into this system at least 48 hours before your park visit and supply the name of a physician and documentation such as an individualized education plan in order to become eligible to receive assistance in the park. But the good news is that approval seems to be very fast, and once it's received, you only have to fill out this form once a year. All right, that'll wrap it up for this time. As always, you can find me, Seth Kabursky, the co-author of the Unofficial Guides, and my books at theunofficialguides.com. And until I come back in a couple weeks, I'll be keeping an eye on all those little things at Universal for you.
By the way, apparently that was a bite-sized version. Okay.
It didn't feel like it.
No. Right, so we're going to talk about Minion Blast later. We'll talk about Kid Zone later. We're obviously going to talk about Stranger Things later. The Halloween Horror Nights tickets. Does anyone find it strange that you have to register a day that you're going to start using the Russia Fear Pass? I don't understand the reasoning behind that.
I can explain it.
Okay.
It's for variable pricing of tickets, basically. So when we went to go buy single day tickets for just regular park tickets, and it was like $150. But if you did it earlier during the summertime, it was to $200. And that was for the buy 2 days get one free thing that they had going on. So it's their way of being able to charge a lesser price or a greater price depending on when you start coming, even if it's for multi-day kind of thing.
So you're saying...
Yeah, but the price doesn't change for if you're buying a multi-day ticket.
Yeah, if you buy a Russia Fear ticket, it doesn't matter when it starts, it's still the same price. I don't understand why they're making you choose a start date.
Are you sure about that?
I'm positive, yeah.
It's weird.
I've booked lots of these. So I have two theories. One is okay, and one I hope is not true. So the one I hope is not true is that this is their way of starting some type of a reservation system for people that have passes. That would suck and the reason why I even am considering this is because they're doing a similar situation for team members with their passes.
Okay.
So now team members are given so many passes for peak nights versus non-peak nights, and they have to actually go in and reserve the nights that they want. There's only so many allowed each night. So I hope it's not their way of kicking off a future reservation system for those that have multi-night tickets. That would be awful. Two, the better theory that I have heard of is that basically it's just their way of not overselling a night. So for instance, peak night, let's say opening night, they sell X number of just regular one-time tickets. But then they also don't know how many people are actually using their multi-night tickets on that night as well. And sometimes that makes that night crazy overcrowded. Whereas if I, being an out-of-stater with a multi-night pass, am not planning on coming that first night, but I'm coming, let's say my first day is October 1st, then they know okay, well, this many people that have this pass are not planning to come that weekend. So we can sell Y number of tickets now for that night. As opposed to now, like whenever they do just multi-night tickets, they have no idea how many of us are coming. And some nights are super oversold. So that's, if it's just a tracking thing to try to make it so that the event doesn't oversell, that's great. If it's a tracking thing to try to oversell the event and get as much money out of it as they can, that would suck.
That's got to be specific for Horror Nights, though, right?
It's very strange.
Yeah.
I just looked at it as well, yeah.
It's very... John, are you going to Horror Nights this year?
I will probably be going actually to the Hollywood version rather than Orlando.
Okay. That's just
where I might be a man in my mid-30s, but I don't like people jumping out and scaring me when I'm alone. But as a group, better activity, and that's where I've gone to Horror Nights before, is with friends out in LA. As far as this system goes, man, I would really think that if the play is trying to make sure that those first nights or certain nights don't get really overfilled when more people with the Russia Fear Pass use it, the way that would make more sense to me is you got to incentivize people to have it start at a different date, not include those, and then get a lower price, and that will make sure that you don't go over the capacity. If it's
that's how the regular tickets work.
Right, Right.
This doesn't make any sense if everything's $179, which it is. I just double checked. Then I'll just book the first date no matter what.
Yeah,
why would I do it any day later?
Exactly.
Well, because there are a lot of us that don't live local, and so we know for a fact. Like I'm an exception. I am coming that weekend, but a lot of people, including my clients, aren't coming in September at all. But it still makes sense financially for them to get that frequent fear. So now Universal can count them out since they're not their first date and isn't going to be till like September 30th or whatever.
But like Chris said, what's to say that people go, well, you never know. You never know.
Exactly.
So I might just put the first down anyway, because you never know. We might be able to swing a week earlier. But if I book my tickets starting on the 10th, then I'm set at going from the 10th.
That's true.
Any chance of going earlier now is gone. Yeah,
but of course, there will be a lot of people that do that, right? But there also will be a lot of people that just absolutely, because of work or whatever, they're not coming until such and such date. I don't know. I think it's weird. I think it's ridiculous, but they must have a reason for it.
Yeah.
Could it also be that it's just the system that they have in place for their regular tickets, and instead of having to implement a different system to process how Horror Nights tickets are purchased, they just said same system?
Maybe.
Well, but they've always used different systems.
But that's what Chris is saying. Is this them integrating the two systems together?
Maybe. That could be a very simple explanation.
Yeah. I called BS on it, but it looks like the tribute store's going back into its old space, by the way. I don't know whether you guys have seen there's pictures been floating around today of the little Easter eggs that they like to put in the tribute stores, pointing towards what's coming next. And it seems there's a receipt slip for some Jurassic Park books or something that were bought in a very specific location on it's like a 151th New York Street or something, which is the location of the old tribute store. And like a Horror Nights thing. It just doesn't make sense to me why you would move it there and then move it back there a year later.
Yeah.
How does someone notice something that small?
Because there's nerds out there who spend, no offense, because we're all nerds to be fair, right? But
Yeah,
people,
I know.
What are you talking about right
people
now?
who have nothing. All right, then
literally
people,
an address on a receipt. That's so tiny. Kudos to whoever did that.
people who have no jobs, or their job is to find this type of stuff in theme parks. John.
Not true. True.
I mean, yeah, that is a even a littler thing than Seth usually would point out.
Yeah.
It's very small, almost literally fine print.
But it doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It does not make any sense whatsoever. It goes
No.
against everything they've said and done. However, we did have Poseidon's Fury go down for massive refurb and then close shortly
True.
thereafter. So they could do anything.
Yeah, it seems weird. I don't. It's like it's not like they've shifted the tribute store from one area to the next. They've also shifted the pass holder lounge into Islands of Adventure. It was a big deal to move. Like they've closed 3 shops or 2 shops and a pass holder lounge. Move the pass holder lounge into Islands of Adventure, then move the tribute store into there to then move it back literally a year later.
Well, maybe they just needed the extra line space during peak season.
Maybe. That would make
sense. So they move, and they also needed a little bit more room for the Jurassic Park store because they needed the outdoor areas as well.
Maybe that would make sense. Actually.
So it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
And now with the Jurassic Park store being where it is, they can construct the HHN store at the same time and have both open. We'll have one being constructed while the Jurassic Park store is still open.
Yeah, because I know they were using the old tribute store location for extended queue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would make sense. Okay.
Could it be just about trying to get the best traffic flow during HHN? They don't want that section of the park getting clogged up with people trying to get into the tribute store, they kind of know better how it's going to work in New York.
Yeah, we've talked about that, haven't we? That I think Hollywood's a bigger bottleneck than New York would be. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, okay. Oh, some proper detective work going on tonight. Michelle, I'm interested your take on this because I don't know whether this would affect Audrey at all, but the new guest assistance card.
We've never used it, to be honest with you. I don't really think she needs it. She's type 1 diabetic. And really her only accommodation would be that she needs to be able to keep her supplies with her, which you can if you can just tell, the ride attendants that you have a medical bag. So we've never used it. Honestly, as a guest, I think that is a great way to do it. We don't have as many people abusing the system now. And you only have to do it one time for the whole year. I mean, that sounds like a better deal for me.
No, you still have to get the pass every 2 weeks.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, it didn't. He just said that it's good for a whole year.
The card is good for a year.
So what?
You still have to go get the other thing every time you go to the park.
Oh, okay.
Correct.
Apparently, I was talking to Maureen about it the other day, and apparently the deal with it is that once you register, so you register with that IEB, whatever the hell it is, and then submit it to Universal, and then a team member will ring you and ask you what provisions you need for your guest assistance card, which seems weird.
And then the card itself is only good for 2 weeks.
That doesn't.
I forgot
sense.
I forgot which. I saw this one TikToker who literally does a bunch of Universal stuff, and their child, they get that for their child. So they really went through the whole process because she did it already, and she had mentioned that the year thing is only for that extra step you have to do. Okay. Now that's good for 1 year, but you still will need to get like the frequency however you did it before. They will not give you that pass for the entire year in the parks.
Well, I hate that they've had to even create a system like this for theme parks, because that means that there's so many people that abuse it.
Yeah.
So I hate that for those people that genuinely need it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and I can't really speak for people that use it, so I'm not going to try to.
So what I'm going to say is that if anyone listening is going to have to deal with it, let us know your experience with it, because I'm actually quite interested.
Yeah.
Did Maureen do it already, or?
I don't know. What were you going to say there, John?
I do know that this is the same sort of system that Six Flags has used for several years. It probably will be more in demand for Universal and having to go get it every 2 weeks, like Chris said. But at least there's some track record for this particular kind of accessibility in a theme park. It's just probably another sign of Universal being popular enough that people want, when they're on their vacations, to possibly abuse a system in order to skip lines, that they have to implement some sort of safeguard to make sure it's getting to the people that really need it.
Genuinely need it, right?
Yeah.
Michelle, do you know if the rat does it as well?
They don't use this system that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the DAS, and that's a whole nother like long list of like little criteria you have to hit in order to do that. And I think it's like hours and hours people will spend on the phone just waiting for that interview that they have to do in order to get approved.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
There's just so many people that abuse it. I mean, it's terrible, but there are.
And it's always going to be imperfect. It's, you don't want to make it too stringent to where a single person who really does need it couldn't get access to it, and therefore there's probably going to be a few people that slip through that don't need it. But they have to have some sort of safeguard. It's just kind of a math thing that if they made it too easy to get, capacity would be all screwed up.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, right. Moving on, because I said we've got a lot to get to. Of course, Minion Blast, VillainCon. Well, let's give it its full Sunday title. Illumination's VillainCon, Minion Blast. Open for technical rehearsal, was it like a week and a half ago, I think, at this point, or 2 weeks. And along with that, Universal have given more details, so we're going to go through those details. And seeing that Chris got to ride it, or walk it, or whatever, did you call it? Would you say you rode it, or you walked on it? You didn't walk, you stood. You're
still standing, yeah. People moved on it.
He's going to comment on the details. Spoiler-free, of course, because there'll be a reason why we're going to keep this main show spoiler-free, because there is something else we will lead you to later. So, John.
Located at the entrance to Minion Land, Illumination's VillainCon Minion Blast blends immersive sets, interactive game-based technology, custom animation, and an original storyline to create a one-of-a-kind blaster attraction where guests can put their villainous skills to the ultimate test.
Does that sum it up, Chris?
That definitely sums it up, yeah. That's everything that's there.
Apart from, I've heard lots of people say, I had no idea what the story was.
That's exactly what I was going to mention. That the story, they just need to give you a little bit more explanations, because even when we were there testing it, obviously it's technical rehearsals, so a lot of the team members are still learning what they need to do. But we did it 3 times. Okay. And even after the 3rd time, we were still arguing between the 8 of us whether or not what we're doing was right or not. And also piecing the story together. So
wow. It's all a moral gray area. That's the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Upon entering the attraction, guests will immediately be transported to VillainCon, the largest convention for villains around the globe, where the headlining event is a challenge to see who has what it takes to become the newest member of the notorious supervillain group, the Vicious Six, featured in the hit film Minions: Rise of Gru. As guests make their way through the convention, they'll venture through the trade show floor, stocked with the latest gadgets, vehicles, and fashion to pull off the most heinous schemes, before picking up an E-Eliminator X blaster to compete against their friends, loved ones, and fellow guests to prove how bad they really are.
There you go, Chris.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep it brief, because there's a lot more talk about this later that you'll get to. The story, just going back to that, it's just not complex, right? It's not supposed to be. They tell you on screen where it's, hey, we're looking to fill this gap in the what do they call them? The Vicious Six. And to do that, just cause mayhem. Basically, just blow stuff up. That's it. That's the story. Right. There's nothing deep and complex about it. That Eliminator X gun is big. It is heavy. And even as an adult, your hands will be hurting if you go a second time.
So I feel like Universal are going to take some for this, right? Because I want to go back to Seth's little things where he said, if your little minion is too little that they can't hold that gun, ask a team member for a smaller toy one that they can pretend to play along with. And Universal get a lot of crap for not being inclusive in a lot of their rides. Like, people complain that they can't get on Hagrid's, or they haven't got bigger seats on coasters, or whatever it might be, or height restrictions on things that necessarily shouldn't have them. And I feel this is going to get them that again, that this is an attraction at the front of the park in a kids area, effectively, that kids aren't necessarily going to be able to do.
That's true. I mean, why couldn't they have made a smaller gun?
So there's a lot of stuff going inside that gun. It's not just, like a Men in Black blaster that's just shooting a laser to a target. You got an accelerometer in there. How do you say that?
Yeah.
You got a bunch of stuff inside that gun because you are on a moving track and it needs to keep track of where you are, what you're shooting at, process that in the background. So it's a lot of stuff. Could they make it smaller? Absolutely. But this isn't Apple where they can spend billions of dollars to make something smaller. So they're like, this is what we got. Funny thing, when we first wrote it, I think it was the first or second time we got out, you're in the gift shop. They sell a little small version, which is what they are giving the kids. It's a little small fake gun. And it's funny because I think David Griswold had mentioned this. He's like, they just got to give kids like the fake ones. And then just the other day, he sent a screenshot. I was like, they're doing it, which makes sense. And honestly, you got to be, I think maybe a 7 to 8, maybe 9-year-old would be able to do this because of how big and heavy the gun is.
That's not too bad then.
It's not too bad, but it kind of sucks because a lot of little kids, which could benefit from just shooting at a screen, they can't really participate in this.
Yeah.
But giving a little fake gun to somebody under that age, honestly, there's so much stuff going on the screen, you wouldn't even know whether you are or are not shooting.
Okay.
So.
Well, and at that age, they don't really understand what they're doing anyway, or what points are, or what that means. You can just tell them at the end, "Oh, you won," and they'd be like, "Yay!"
giving your little brother the Xbox controller that doesn't have any batteries in it. It's like, we're playing together.
Same concept, yeah.
The handing off of like the toy gun to the kids who are too small to hold a big gun, that really sounds to me like some sort of thing that park operations had to put in place, where they were filling a gap that the creative process just didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really it's not a bad solution, but it is an imperfect one that sounds like, oh, what do we have around that we can just hand these kids?
Yeah,
it was a reactive thing, not a proactive thing.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Someone just went, go in the gift shop and grab a load of boxes of those ones, just rip them open and give them to the kids.
Yeah.
I have to say, on the story, though, this almost sounds like it's breaking the theme park mold where, like, you get on a ride and then something goes wrong.
Yeah.
The point of this is to create chaos from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's getting out of that like kind of story norm.
Yeah, they did not say, hey, recruits. So,
Yeah.
Also, the just to point out here on this section, that trade show floor, like in the queue, so good.
I've seen some video of it. Cool. It does look pretty awesome, I must admit.
When I tell you, it's like there is so much packed inside of that part of the queue. We went through it multiple times, spent a good amount of time in there because they'll even from when we were on it, they were pulsing people into that room. So because it almost has an open flow. It's not like a specific narrow line. So it allows you to wander like if you are at a con.
Yeah.
And there is so much to read and like laugh at and pick up on little things here and there that you can do it again time after time, and every time I went through I found something new to laugh at. So,
I can't remember who it was. I was watching one of the YouTube channels and they'd asked if they could film, and the team member said yeah. So like the outside queue was like, I was very underwhelmed. I was like, is this it? And then they get into that inside portion and you're like, wow, this is so cool.
Yeah. outside is literally just concrete walls.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as it was.
Stuff, it's very Simpsons-like.
Yes.
So it's just TV screens. There's some funny stuff going on, so that's fun. But there's not too much going on there. But that con area, trade show floor really makes up for it.
So is the queue area the part that is well themed? Is that sort of in the spot where the waiting room was for Shrek 4D?
Yeah,
I'm guessing so. Yeah,
it's been a while, honestly, but that size and everything kind of reminds me of the pigs being up there and all that stuff. Yeah, it probably was the room.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So throughout the competition, guests will use their blaster equipped with freeze rays, banana bombs, explosive nunchucks, and more to cause as much mayhem and destruction as possible to earn points. As they wind and glide through the experience aboard a moving pathway, they'll encounter each member of the Vicious Six, voiced by the original cast from the film, in a setting inspired by their Vicious Six character.
But this is exactly what we talked about, isn't it? You're not confined. You literally, there's a spot, stand on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bunch of circles on the moving walkway. And interesting to go back to what Seth was saying earlier, how they're lowering capacity. I know we spoke, just us two, when I was up there sending you the recording, where one of the issues is it kind of, there's too much going on, so it's having a problem processing all that. So reducing your amount of people going through will reduce the workload on the computers doing all this stuff.
I think it's that, as well as, like, I've heard a lot of people complain that they are quite close together. So if because there's things all around you to shoot, that you're moving around, the chances of you whacking somebody else next to you is pretty high.
Yeah. The circles on the floor are literally a foot apart.
Wow.
And they're putting you right next to you. So if you're a little kid, not really that big of an issue, but when it was us 8 grown adults, it was tight.
Oh.
Now, they do space you from the next party by a few circles, but it was a little tight, and I feel bad for anybody that's like 3 feet high because they're getting whacked with a gun.
Wow.
At least at the reduced capacity, like 1,200 or so, from just a practical standpoint, that's about the same as Shrek 4D when it ran one theater in terms of hourly capacity. So I would have figured this wasn't going to be able to replace even that. So that's good that even at a reduced rate, they can kind of make up for what they used to have.
Yeah, and it's something that people are going to want to go on. So it probably is going to eat 1,200 an hour.
So we had this.
Well, maybe since they have to reduce capacity because of the computers, they should just
leave it.
Put a circle between each person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To reduce the possibility of injury and subsequent lawsuits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This next bit, the bit I'm excited about, because the competitiveness in me and Tracy will,
Oh man.
So, VillainCon Minion Blast will also be the first Universal Orlando attraction to feature a connected gameplay experience via the official Universal Orlando Resort app. By syncing their blaster to the app with just a tap, contenders can take their game to an entirely new level and track their scores, embark on special missions within the attraction, unlock evil perks, and extra powerful blasts to help them gain more points and earn digital collectibles. The more guests play and the higher they score, the more perks and bragging rights they'll earn. Plus, this digital experience connects to the visitor's Universal guest account within the Universal Orlando app, unlocking a deeper connection that enhances their in-park experience and sets the stage for even more digital to physical world benefits.
What the hell does that even mean?
The Matrix, buddy.
Yeah, use the app. You get stuff. Maybe. Well, you get the sense of getting stuff, I guess.
But this is kind of like that. See, I can't wait to talk to Tracy about it when she comes back. The power-up band Super Nintendo World thing, bringing this as a test phase into Universal Orlando right now. It's like it's a smaller version of that.
Yeah. It's even like, I feel it's kind of that gateway going into what we're going to see more of at Epic Universe.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this didn't work, but from what we saw in there, you're able to keep track of all your scores and everything. So now you can actually brag and say, hey, I got this much. When you get off the ride, there's a scoreboard that shows the person's score who was number 1 or 10 or whatever, and you also get to put a name to your character. So
awesome.
You can put whatever you want, and when you tap, all you're doing is you're opening up the Universal app, tapping it to the gun. There's probably some RFID reader in there, syncs it up. Now your gun, there's a little LED display on there that will say your name, and then might unlock more stuff. Like maybe you can save some of the special ammo that you pick up from the last time and use it this time. I don't know. But
no, you get an express pass. Nice. You get an express pass for Fast and Furious.
They can keep it.
I think they might give that to the last place finisher, actually.
I wish they had this for Men in Black. I will say that much.
Yeah, it sounds like, you know how competitive Tracy and I are. So this is like, I'm probably going to end up, even if it's not the best attraction in the world, it's probably something I'm going to end up going on a lot just because of that competitiveness.
Oh yeah, this sounds way cooler now that I heard that.
Yeah. I was quite down on it. Initial reviews we heard weren't great, and then the more I've seen and watched vloggers and stuff like that, I'm quite excited to ride it actually.
Yeah, it's fun.
But and at least this interactive element doesn't require buying something else on top of it. Like I've been to Hollywood and done done Nintendo World, and while that enhanced the experience, I did have to spend the extra, $40 for a power-up band,
a good point,
which is
actually.
A downside.
Yeah, that's a
and then you have to remember to bring it with you next time you come.
Yeah. Oh, you have to buy another one.
And I'll have to remember to cross the country too. So
Well, the other thing here too is in contrast to, let's say, Fast and Furious, where there was, I think the app has something that you can answer questions. I forgot. I did it one time a long time ago. Doesn't do anything else for the ride, right? So I don't care to use it. Whereas here, doing this stuff actually affects and is used in your ride experience. So that's going to get a lot more people drawn into actually using this stuff.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Exciting. Yeah, like you say, Chris, I think it's a view into the future of what we're going to get down the line with.
Yeah,
potentially in whatever Harry Potter stuff's going in over there. I know there's been rumors about interactive sort of gamifying the wand experience there, and obviously Super Nintendo World, because interactivity's got to be the next step in theme parks, to not just have you in there but allow you to be part of that experience as well, like the interactive ones in Potter, taking that to the next level. And I think it's exciting. Honestly,
it's exciting. Yeah, I think it's exciting if they can do it in ways where it doesn't feel like to anyone that it's just a cash grab. It's just an excuse to get you to buy another accessory. If it enhances the experience without costing you more money and encourages re-rides, great.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, of course, it would not be a new attraction opening if we didn't hear from Kenneth. I've chopped it down a little bit because, as he said in it, he rambles a lot. So I'm going to pass it over to Kenneth for his spoiler-free review.
Hello, this is Kenneth from Rush of Fear. You might recognize my voice, also from the band Pangolin. I have just ridden Illumination's VillainCon Minion Blast, and as always, with new rides, I'm leaving my review. It's hard to describe. I mean, it's not hard to describe, but it's kind of hard to formulate thoughts on it because it's so different from anything you've ever done before. So it is a shooting game, as I think most people know, similar to Toy Story Mania at Disney parks, a little like Men in Black, but also quite different from Men in Black. It is on a moving walkway. So the rumors were true. That's true. There's no ride vehicle. You are standing on a moving walkway holding a gun or a blaster, a minion blaster, if you will, and shooting it at stuff. First impression on the blaster, it's way bigger than I thought it was going to be. It is a two-hander. Honestly, I think it might be a problem for some younger kids. I am not a weak person, I don't think. I'm not particularly strong, and my arms were getting tired by the end of this experience. It's hard for me to also say how long it is. It felt longer than I thought it would. Maybe like 4 minutes. So we're just destroying everything. It's not like Toy Story Mania where it's like, okay, here's your targets. It's just shoot everything you can find. And so you've got a little cursor on the screen that your, blaster is, that's where you're aimed at. And it does get very confusing if there's a lot of other people nearby to figure out which one of those is yours. But you kind of just aim it in the general direction of what you think you're pointing at. big targets are going to be easy to hit. Small targets can get pretty tough because if multiple people are aiming at it, you're like, which one of those pointers is me? There's also little power-ups. So they're like little boxes, like whitish gray boxes with circles on each surface of the cube. So if you shoot those, it will kind of put a power-up onto your blaster. So there's like a trigger where you would expect it to be, and then there's a second trigger up at the front of the blaster, and that does your limited ammo power-up ammunition. I don't know. There's very little instruction on what to do, and the line was pretty short, so I actually had to stop in the queue and watch the video and let people pass me and just be like, oh, I'm watching the video. Keep going. I'm watching this to understand what's going on. So if there's not a long line, I actually would recommend stopping to watch the queue videos and get the full explanation of the story and the objective, even though I've explained it here. Because one, it's fun, but two, if you go in without that, I think you're just going to get in there and be like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I think I like it better than Despicable Me Minion Mayhem, and I think that it's an upgrade to Shrek 4D, if only because it is interactive, and so that makes it a little bit more fun, a little more interesting. It's a unique experience. I've never been on a ride that is a moving walkway, that you are standing and there's no ride vehicle. A ride without a vehicle this has got to be the first one, right? Like, you would never call something else like this a ride because you were walking, but you're not walking here, you're standing. And that's pretty cool. The design of everything is cool. It feels very much like you really are in the world of the Minions and Despicable Me. Everything has that feeling, that look. But it's a fun thing. It's a cool addition. It's unique. I don't know how much fun I had, but I was just like, okay, this was cool. I think that VillainCon Minion Blast is not the main event of Minions Land. I think Minion Mayhem is still your e-ticket anchor attraction. VillainCon is your second place B-tier attraction in the land. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm sure that it's been edited.
It is.
I think it's good. I would give the new ride maybe like a B+. It's not going to blow anyone's mind. No one's going to come out of there like, that was the best thing ever. But it's just a good little experience. It feels like bonus materials to your theme park experience. It's like, oh yeah, we did that too. It was cool. It was cute. You know, like I can't imagine anyone come out of there very upset, because it's not a roller coaster. It's not a dark ride. It's not really like anything else. So it kind of creates its own new category of thing. And I think it feels supplemental. Anyway, I'm Kenneth. That was my thoughts. And I will see you later. Come listen to Rush of Fear. Bye.
Shameless plug.
Right.
That's the thing,
Good
though,
job,
isn't it?
Kenneth.
Not every attraction has to be I think the problem is with theme park people, they want every new attraction to be better than the last best thing they put in. And it can't be like that.
You got to look at it, I think, more practically and see that the park needs a supporting cast, too. Not everything can be aimed to be the headliner. And sometimes they kind of age out of that. They were a headliner at one point, and then new tech happens. But it does seem like the parks too often focus on at least promoting things as if they're always going to be that level. And I think Universal probably pulled it right on this one, where they're not making VillainCon out to be like, oh, this is, the new big headlining attraction in Universal Studios Florida. Yeah. It's because it can't possibly live up to that if that was the hype.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. I'm excited to ride it, if I'm honest. I wasn't, but I am now.
And maybe it's because they set your expectations a little bit low for that.
Yeah.
But then they're in line with reality.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff, again, talking offline with Lee, a lot of the stuff that, you would read online, it's like, oh, this ride sucks, this. I wrote, I'm like, that didn't suck. It's not the best thing in the world, but I enjoyed it. We had some fun and some issues they can work on. I mean, I agree with a lot with what Kenneth said. I disagree. I think this is probably the premier ride for Minions in that park, because the other one is, it's a sit-down simulator. Like, there's 1,000 of those everywhere.
Yep.
So from a re-rideability standpoint, this new ride takes the cake, I think.
Yeah.
But again, You got to set the expectations. It's not this mind-blowing thing. It is new. It is cool. It's never really been done before, but that doesn't mean that it's the best thing in the world.
Exactly.
I'm still a little confused why they didn't make it a genuine ride, though, other than cost, I guess, maybe just budget. But
probably too.
Yeah,
So
but they've got why couldn't they've got the conveyor belt? Why could they not just stick the little, like Buzz Lightyear type cars on there? I don't see how that would take any extra space.
Because it would. If you think how many people you can get on a conveyor belt in the space of a ride vehicle, a lot more than 4.
Yeah. The throughput is a lot higher than if they did vehicles.
Yeah, but they can't put through. They can't do that put through now. No,
I think they will be able to eventually when they work it out.
They just need to throw more hardware at it.
That's why and that's why they do technical rehearsals to work these bugs out to get people through it so they can see what problems they need to fix.
Gotcha.
Now, do any of you know if this is using both theaters from Shrek?
I don't, actually.
We had this discussion over there.
Yeah, you did. We'll hear that at the end of the show. But anyway, I don't know.
Be interesting. If somebody knows that, please let us know.
Yeah.
We don't have any houses in that second Shrek theater on the spec maps, do we?
No.
Right.
But there was rumors of an 11 house for the longest time. But anyway. Of course, if you want to know more about the attraction, as I've kind of hinted at, what and all, then stay tuned to after the show outro, as you can hear and it's about 45 minutes long of Chris and his crew dissecting the attraction. It's a lot of fun, actually. I enjoyed listening to it. So that'll be after the show outro. So you might actually have to listen to the outro for once, because I know most people don't.
It was supposed to be a 10-minute review, by the way.
Yeah, I said try and keep it under 10 minutes. Chris went, there's no way.
10 minutes in, I think 15 minutes in, we were still talking about the queue because there's 8 of us. So it's impossible to do that in 15 minutes.
Cool.
But it was fun.
Let's move on. It is time to welcome our Tracy back in because it's PC birthdays time.
Woo-woo. Wow, birthday time again? These come round fast, folks. Okay, we are going to kick off the July and an August birthday with July the 25th. And it is the gorgeous Nicole Kofidis' birthday. Happy birthday, Nicole.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nicole.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, John will be doing that thing that most people who come on, I have no idea who these people are.
And then we have birthday triplets. On July the 27th, we are going to start it off with the gorgeous Andrea Scullion's birthday. Happy birthday, Andrea.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Andrea.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And then we also have the amazing, the lovely Matt Wyman's birthday. Happy birthday, Matt.
Happy birthday, Matt the Lurker.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Matt.
Happy birthday.
And then also the 27th, we have the fantabulous Phil Milburn's birthday. Happy birthday, Phil.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
I can feel Chris holding off the Feliz Cumpleaños to someone he feels like deserves it.
I just don't have the list now, so I
know.
gotta really,
And then on July the 28th, another one that's one scene never forgotten. I love this guy. It is the unforgettable and the very handsome Chuck Shaller's birthday. Happy birthday, Chuck.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Please come down here, Chuck.
There we go.
Oh, there it is. Happy birthday, Chuck.
And on July the 30th, it is the wonderful Stuart Etheridge's birthday. Happy birthday, Stuart.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
July the 31st sees another lovely person's birthday. It is a stunningly lovely Judson Whitfield's birthday. Happy birthday, Judson.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Crack me up on that one.
And finally, on August the 6th, it is, well, what can I say about this guy? He's funny, he's lovely, he gives great hugs. He's one of my loveliest friends. It is the gorgeous Rich Cotter's birthday. Happy birthday, Rich.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Rich.
Happy birthday, Rich.
Happy birthday, everybody. I hope you all have a lovely birthday and I hope you get spoiled and I hope you get cakes with candles.
It's very excited about having cakes with candles, Tracy, apparently there. That was weird.
New trend.
Cool. Right, we shall be away because we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors and we will be right back.
Man, we need a vacation.
Oh, I got this.
Whoa, that's awesome. But I was thinking something a little more adventurous.
Okay, how about this?
Yes! Woo! How about some relaxation from Mama?
Oh, perfect. How did you do that?
Easy. PortKey Vacations.
For your next vacation, let PortKey Vacations take away all the guesswork and stress of planning. From air and hotel to theme park tickets and everything else in between, they've got you covered. Just visit PortKeyVacations.com and touch the PortKey to get started with your free, no-obligation quote request. With just one touch, and PortKey Vacations will magically take you wherever you want to go.
Welcome back, everyone. We are carrying on the show. As I said, there's a lot to get to. Chris, Seth kind of mentioned it a little bit, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah. So next year, Universal Orlando Resort will debut an all-new themed land featuring Dreamworks animation, beloved animated characters. As guests step into this new land, their imaginations will run wild as they take in the vibrant colors, sights, and sounds that surround them. They will share special moments with their favorite characters like Gabby from Gabby's Dollhouse and explore themed, interactive play spaces and attractions that bring popular franchises like Shrek, Trolls, and Kung Fu Panda to life in the most imaginatively fun ways. The new Dreamworks land coming to Universal Studios Florida is part of a collection of new entertainment experiences debuting at Universal Orlando Resort in 2024. And is a continuation of Universal's commitment to rich storytelling that places guests of all ages in the most incredible and immersive environments. Stay tuned for more details will be revealed in the future.
Are we surprised this is opening next year?
No.
Like
too soon, you mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of fast, but next year can also be December 31st.
I mean, that's very true.
I think given what they've said and what is likely to come in there, this seems about right. Without adding a large-scale ride, I think any longer delay seems like might be overkill. And they need something to promote for 2024.
True.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, we don't have any idea of any new rides, right?
No, as far as rides go, I think Seth mentioned it there. They're just retheming Woody Woodpecker's Nuthouse Coaster to Trolls, and the name I have heard, I think I've said this on the show before, is the Troller Coaster. I mean, it's there. It's terrible.
It's right there. Yeah, you almost have to.
Oh, I mean,
it's on the nose.
It really is. I mean, I'd have been disappointed if they hadn't have called it that, but subsequently it is terrible.
No, it's not. It's funny.
This just kind of looks more like an interactive land rather than, a land with park rides and stuff like that. Yeah. So at the speed that they can bring up these tribute stores and all the complexities they do in there, the date on this doesn't seem too far-fetched.
Okay. I mean, let's be honest. It's not meant for us, is it?
Right. And even if they do have plans like in the future to put in some bigger other attraction, the space is there to do it.
True.
They can still go ahead and open the area, because I hate to say it, but until this reopens, they're losing a lot of families with the smaller kids.
Well, there's nothing in studios, is there? Nothing?
Nothing.
ET is the only thing.
No.
And even
areas.
ET has a height restriction, so
yeah, there's nothing.
There's not really anything.
Born potentially. Horror makeup show.
Really made for kids there.
I'm not saying it's made for kids, but they can do it at least.
Bring the earmuffs otherwise they'll be screaming and crying during the gunshots. But
I mean, I was going to say
the closest thing is handing kids wands in Diagon Alley for that park.
Yeah, and animal actors. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, this land isn't made for us. Like I've said many times, we didn't even go into this land when we had little kids. So I guess I'm not going into it now.
They could do some great things with we don't see new play areas built all that often. It's kind of a theme park thing that is fallen away and they don't invest in over time. So seeing something like brand new versus the 20+ year old stuff could be really, really fun. And really be an underrated experience for that age group. I think just like Villain Con, set your expectations at like the reasonable level.
Yeah, it's probably going to be very similar to what it was, just rethemed to more up-to-date characters.
Yeah, like Fievel's Playland. Like, who the heck knows who Fievel is?
I mean, and I was of that age, and I don't think that character had like the staying power to last.
No, you're breaking Chris's heart right now.
Now,
but, I mean, I'm sorry, Chris, but if you do look at like the aerial photos, those look like they've been totally leveled.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so it's like if maybe there's some other stuff they could use in terms of the infrastructure. But I think as far as the play areas go, they will be almost from scratch.
Okay.
Yeah, but those don't take long to put up. You know, if they're just doing a climbing structure, that's a matter of a couple of weeks. So
yeah, it's just the coaster that's standing in the middle of all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what. I mean, like I say, we're not going to go into it. We're not going to spend any time in there, but it will be interesting to see what they do with it.
I mean, even now that I think about it, you know, complaining that they're not building any rides. They didn't really take any rides away either.
No.
It was just, you know, you had Curious George's play area. You had the Fievel play area. You had the Barney, which was really just a kind of an interactive meet and greet show type of thing. So honestly, anything they give us now is probably going to be better than what we had before. And
for sure.
And John, how you kind of mentioned or hinted at this, it's like, what does a modern day play area look like?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You could, I don't know what they look like now, but I'm figuring you can do some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Probably more accessibility options too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I do hope that the meet and greet is not just what it was. I hope they've done a little bit more now that they have all this time to, you know, fit something new into that existing structure of the Barney Theater. I hope it's dressed up a little bit more than what it was. That would be a little bit of a letdown to me.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that was literally like, hey, we just need something to hold us over for a bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just nice to see them using that Dreamworks license that they paid for ages ago and still haven't done anything with, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be enough to attract many people to make a trip in 2024?
No.
Probably not. No, that's you answered the question.
No, it won't attract a new crowd, but it'll keep those who do have small kids going instead of heading over to Disney.
Yes.
Because like right now, I have had clients who have a mixed age range of kids, and they've opted for Disney or maybe just a day at Universal and then Disney because there's just not as much right now for the little ones.
Yeah.
And I really can't argue. You know, before this closed, I was able to argue, no, there's still plenty of stuff that you can do for your little one to have fun. But right now, I really can't argue that. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's move on to the main event. Someone please hold Michelle down and give her a paper bag. We are going to talk Halloween Horror Nights. Of course, we've mentioned it already. We've kind of talked about it, that all the tickets have been released. We're not going to talk about them here more than we already have, but let's just say the ticket prices went up a lot this year. Horror Nights is a very expensive year this year. And RIP to us, as we know, they went through the roof. But if you do want to know about the ins and outs of the tickets, of course, head over and go and listen to the latest episode of our sister podcast, Rush of Fear, where you'll hear Michelle. We've had 2 of the 3 on today. Michelle, Maddie, and Kenneth talk about the tickets a lot more in depth, to be fair. And it's, if you haven't been before, the tickets can be confusing. So, yes, go and listen to that.
Yeah,
but for now, we got an announcement. Michelle, be calm. Please tell us.
I'm so excited. Halloween Horror Nights brings season 4 of Netflix's original series Stranger Things to life in a terrifying all-new haunted house at both Universal Orlando and Universal Studios Hollywood. The Stranger Things haunted house mirrors the mind-bending twists and supernatural terror of season 4, immersing guests in a heart-pounding experience alongside valiant characters from the series, including Eleven, Max, Eddie, and more. Dude, I knew it. I'm so happy. I'm so freaking excited.
I know.
Guests will find themselves on the front line of Vecna's deadly attacks on the citizens of Hawkins while traveling through iconic scenes including the notorious Hawkins Lab, the enigmatic Creel House, and Vecna's chilling mindscape. Along the way, guests will confront their deepest fears and come face to face with otherworldly creatures like Demobats and even Vecna himself.
Yes.
In a race against the clock, guests find themselves in the ultimate showdown within Vecna's blood-red mind lair, striving to escape and save mankind from his deadly curse.
Okay, now before we get into it, Michelle, again, stay calm, please.
Okay.
Tracy wanted to chime in, so I got to send me a little message of her thoughts on it, so it's over to her.
Hello everyone, I've just found out about the Stranger Things announcement. Yeah, it looks interesting. You know, for those of us who watched it, we all know how exciting that series got. It should be very dark, it should be very visual, and of course we absolutely should get Masters of Puppets, which if they've got any sense, it'll be blasting on the last section and on the way out, so everybody's just like bouncing out of that house. It could have some genuine jump scares. I think this could go well, but I said that the first time round, and yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that one, as you all know. But we shall see. I have faith that they'll do this one better. But yeah, Stranger Things, looking forward to it.
Now, for all those that don't know, she meant the last house, not the first one. So the one with 2 and 3, we never got to do the first one.
Okay.
Knowing Metallica, they'll probably have us bleep out everything, so...
So I've literally just finished an entire rewatch of all 4 seasons. I binged it in about a week and a half. So I'm well up for it. And yes, I'm very, very excited.
The areas that they described here, I am so excited.
Oh, yes.
Excited. Like Creel's house, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Vecna's, quote, mindscape. It's going to be, the Max scene and the red and blood and all. It's going to be so good. So good.
And Demobats, dude.
How the
Demobats.
hell? I don't understand how they're going to do them.
Just going to throw puppets over our heads.
Things are going to be flying at us from above.
Just in case you needed some more jump scares coming at you from above than side to side. That's great.
It would be interesting, John, with you going to Hollywood to see the difference between the 2 houses.
Yeah, I seem to remember because I went when they last did a Stranger Things house, when they did the one with 2 and the little slice of 3.
Yeah.
And they seemed practically the same in the 2 places, if I'm recalling correctly.
Okay.
I am really pleased that we're getting a season 4 house this year rather than trying to do it where they had a little bit of 3 in the last one.
Yes.
Because this season, you wouldn't have been able to do it justice if you had to have the production process start that early like they did with the last house. I mean, that was really like, hey, here's one little slice of 3 that we probably built off concept art.
Yeah.
And never saw the finished product. So I'm really glad we're getting a season 4 house that will like
proper house.
Yeah, like it'll live up to what that season had. And I mean, just prepare for more first timers to HHN coming in based off this property.
For sure. I mean, if there's any Stranger Things season that deserves a house, it's this one. I've said it from the first second I started watching that season. I was like, oh,
it's the most.
This is it.
Yeah, it's the most Horror Nights ish house. Like it's the most Horror Nights season of all 4 seasons, without a doubt. It's the most horror-based season of all of them. The one that lends itself to Horror Nights the most. Like I say, going through that Creel house is going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm. So good. The spiders. There's going to be spiders. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Yes.
That creepy
hearing that
clock.
That grandfather clock.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh. But I tell you what, I'm going to get sick of hearing Kate Bush this year. I can guarantee that now. I'm sick of hearing it just from watching that season in like 3 days. You know that's what they're going to be playing out in the outside section, but I want to hear Master of Puppets more inside the house.
Yes.
I know. Maddie said it.
Maddie
said it on Rush of Fear, didn't she? That she was like, she will not be happy if they don't have a trailer with Eddie Munson on the top guitar playing Master of Puppets, and I call it now. We have to have that, and I want a live guitar. I want an actual person playing a guitar.
Yeah, I totally said he should just replace the violinist in that.
Yes.
They should just change that to a trailer and put Eddie up there where the violinist was in Dead Man's Wharf.
Where was it in the spec map? Do we know?
I believe it was that place.
Where Dead Man's Pier was?
I think so.
I'm just trying to get the spec map up. I can't remember.
It was in a soundstage for sure. Can't wait, dude.
Sure?
I can't wait.
Soundstage? Was it?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the spec map up now.
But the gore in this season, there's lots of blood. There's all of the bone breaking and stuff.
Yeah.
How they're going to do the bone breaking, I'm really curious to see, because they've got to do that somehow.
So with the two houses at the end of New York leading up to the New York Public Library, last year, which one was on the left and which one was on the right?
Wasn't Dead Man's on the right?
Then
Dead Man was on the right, Chupacabra was on the left.
Right, so according to the spec map, then Stranger Things will be where Chupacabra was. Dueling Dragons is going in where Dead Man's Pier was.
Dude, what if they rebuild the roller coaster? That'd be awesome.
I can't see that happening. But yeah, it's just... So I have a question for the three of you. I've heard this a lot since this announcement came out. Do you believe this is the biggest Halloween Horror Nights announcement ever?
Stranger Things 4?
Yes. I have heard a lot of people say this is the biggest Horror Nights announcement they've ever.
I think it would be up there with like Walking Dead in its prime. The first one.
I don't know. I think the very first time they announced Stranger Things was going to be a house would be the biggest announcement ever.
Yeah, because at this point, I expected it. They've done it for the other seasons. I figured that this was coming. And, I would agree with Michelle that the first one being a non-universal property, something that was huge, and not seeing it coming makes that bigger than this one where it was, well, great. We kind of all knew it was going to happen.
Right. And it was something at the very first season, it was something that we knew was going to bring in a younger crowd, which typically has not really been something advertised or marketed towards younger crowds. It's even advertised as 13 and up. So that very first announcement really did change a lot of things about HHN. This one is just kind of like, although yes, it's the best season for it for sure. And I'm super excited. I wouldn't say I wasn't expecting it.
You think? Because I know there was a lot of talk after it didn't come back the year after obviously it wasn't the year after, it'll have been 2021, that Netflix deal was dead because there was a falling out with something. And I think that's maybe kind of tempered people's expectations about Stranger Things coming back. And then suddenly, here we are, we've got the announcement. You look at the three things that...
But then they had Hill House.
Yeah, but when was that? 21? Was that 21? Okay.
So obviously the relationship was repaired. I don't know.
Maybe it was after. I don't know, actually. I don't know. Anyway.
To be fair, I think Last of Us is a pretty dang big announcement too.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the draw power that...
it has that. It doesn't have...
Stranger Things, I think, broke the mold for Horror Nights.
Agreed.
Because it spoke to probably the largest audience we've ever seen of any IP in that park when it comes to Horror Nights. Even going back to, if I'm not mistaken, the first one, it was the only time they've ever opened a house during the daytime for daytime guests to walk through. Like, that's never been done. And it was a smart move because it's like, hey, here's a little bit of this drug. You like it? Come to the main event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the thing with the Last of Us is most people know it. I reckon most people know it more from the TV show than the game itself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whereas everybody knows Stranger Things. So if you mention The Last of Us to most people, they'll go, "Oh, you mean the thing with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey in it," rather than the game, which, by the way, I'm nearly finished and I'm absolutely loving it again. It's so good. And I've even started the TV show again. I'm just fully immersed. When
did you stop loving it?
But even more so, I'm just completely obsessed with it at the moment. I've already, I've decided what my next tattoo is. I want the Firefly logo as a tattoo. So I'm just completely obsessed with everything to do with it right now.
So in case we didn't know what men do with their time when their wives go out of the country for 3 months, this is it. Video games and binging Netflix.
To be fair, anyway. I still do that with Alexa.
Exactly.
Here, so. She just yells at me. That's the only difference.
I do want to bring up the point. I don't know how much you can compare, the audience for a Netflix show versus a video game, but Last of Us has sold somewhere around the range of 35 million copies.
Wow.
So
crazy.
That's not nothing.
Yeah. I wonder how many copies they've sold since the TV show came out.
I think they did jump quite a bit.
Yes.
They probably went doubled overnight or something like that.
Yeah.
Compared to what they were before that. But after that, you were dealing with a 9-year-old game that a lot of people already have their copies of.
Yeah, exactly.
It just brings in a new audience. You know, it's just another more people exposed to not in the same level as the first Stranger Things house might have been, but still like an audience that may have never considered going to an HHN before.
Without a doubt, yeah. I think this year has the potential to be one of the best years like ever. It really is.
I agree, Lee. I agree.
It really. I am super excited for it. And I'm excited for Horror Nights every year, but this year I don't know, it just feels a little different.
It does. I mean, I know we don't have a ton of announcements yet. We've only officially got 3 houses, but if the spec maps come to fruition even close to what we think that they might be, I think it's going to be a jamming year. It's going to be so good.
Let's be honest here. It's the love for Last of Us and Stranger Things, guys.
Oh,
they can put houses and you're still gonna love it.
Exactly.
No, but Dueling Dragons.
I agree.
I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying they got 2 extremely strong IPs here.
They do, but I'm a lover of originals. So Dueling Dragons, we got the origin story of Jack the Clown. Possibly, like, those are super cool too.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I agree.
There's a lot of Horror Nights lore in there, plus some decent IPs, some Universal like nostalgia in there as well. It's
brought the stage show back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, before I start crying, I think it's time to end this bloody thing because I'm so excited for this year. Right, everyone, that is going to end this podcast. John, we know you've got something to plug, so please feel free to plug your place on the internet.
Well, thank you. I do write about theme parks, reviews, news, all of that at themeparktribune.com. And you can follow me on all kinds of social media at themeparktrib.
Awesome. Cool. Right. We are going to end this show like we always do with a Universal Is. And we've asked John to come up with this week's. But of course, don't forget, we want to get you involved. So just let us know what you think Universal is in 3 words or less and send them to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. But for this episode, John, it's over to you.
Universal is worth the heat.
See you next week.
That was another episode of the Unofficial Universal Orlando Podcast, the best and only podcast about Universal Orlando on the island. Check us out on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcasts, news, and articles, check out our blog at uuopodcast.com. Contact us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. Join the Producers Club by emailing us at uuopproducers@gmail.com. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Check out our friends, the Theme Park Duo, for all your other theme park news, and email Michelle at portkeyvacations.net to book your next trip. So until next time, this is Amity 6, call off the Marines, we're coming home.
Hey everybody, what is going on? It's Chris here, bringing you a special scoop.
Weekend update.
So we got to ride Minion Blast on its first technical rehearsal day. 2 times, back to back. And by we, it's not just myself. I am joined by a group of producers here, one of them being a birthday girl. He's the husband of a producer. So joining me, I have Madeline,
Kyle,
Steven,
Jillian,
Joni,
David,
and Alexa.
Look at that. Look at all these smiling faces. So the point of this that we want to do is we want to talk about the ride and just our impressions, our initial impressions. There might be some variance here, but that's the whole point of this, right?
Why are you looking at me? We always.
So,
pivoted.
So let's start off, and anybody feel free to jump in when you want to. Let's start off with the queue. Now remember, the queue is all the way from the entrance up until getting your gun. So who wants to jump in first?
So the outdoor queue section, very little has changed from the Shrek queue. It just has the Villain Con overlay, the posters, and it has some TV screens that play a little a little real, but you can't even hear it in the queue. They were also making overhead announcements the whole time. We couldn't hear a thing that they were saying.
I think they were using the same microphones from like the New York subway system where you can't hear a single thing. They're like, everybody take
it's the Peanuts teacher.
Yeah.
But then we went inside.
Yes. So the second part of the queue was the best.
Oh yeah, you're the con girl.
So
is
this is
true.
Joni, and I'm a Comic-Con fanatic, and so the second part of the queue will be your favorite, I promise. It's great for kids. They can wander from you a little bit, and you're still in line. It's not like a single file line.
It's an open floor.
It is an
concept.
open floor. If you've ever been to a comic convention, it is the floor of the convention. There's maps, and each booth is unique. It's amazing. There's details everywhere. It will take several times for you to see everything in that room. Fully worth it. But my favorite part was going into the ride, which is what you were alluding to earlier. The second recording. So,
The second recording?
yes, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Oh, on the
That
screens?
Doofus and Do-Right.
Doofus and
No.
The screens. Okay, so you were talking about the screens earlier. I thought that's what you were talking about.
They kind of give you an
So the
overview of how to
safety.
play and how the gun works, and it kind of fits into which villains you're going to be looking for. You're trying to. So the whole point of the ride is that it's the plot of the. Is it the new one? The new it's the new, but it's the new. It's the most recent movie. It's the new Minions movie where it's the prequel where Gru is trying to be recruited into the Vicious Six. So they are trying to fill their hole, and so you're trying to compete to become the new member of the Vicious Six. That's the premise.
They're trying to fill their hole, you say?
Listen, everybody has to have their holes filled somehow.
Yes, I do want to add one thing to that is I hope they do this, but I noticed that when they let you into that con area, they were stopping people to not overflow it, to let you enjoy it. They were
doing it by the parties. They kept asking, hey, how many is in your party? Then would wait for a couple dots, and then they would group the party in.
No, this is before going on the ride. We're talking about just the con area. They were pulsing people in there to not have it so crowded.
Remember, they were about to stop us, but we said, "Oh no, we're all in the same party," and they let us go.
Yes.
Go into the inside. So on the inside part of the queue, I did notice a piece of advertisement referencing a swamp buggy, and it was green, and I believe that's a nod to Shrek.
That was a good catch.
Because we went through twice, and each time I was like looking everywhere for some type of nod to the Shrek ride.
Yeah.
We looked for other Shrek Easter eggs. We couldn't find anything.
That was the
I think that was the only thing
swamp related and green. Yeah.
Well, I have to give it up to the cleverness of the queue as well. Like, I tried to pay attention to the story and like the little reels in the line, and it's about like a news broadcast about the villain con that you're going to. But the quirkiness, the detail that they put into the con area, it was amazing. It was overly visually stimulating, and the little commercials that they do. And plus, I love that Minions movie, like to the max.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it is just perfect. It syncs up so well with it.
We laughed out loud so many times watching the video, looking at the things on the walls.
The
It was
last
very funny.
video with like the knee-high boots and the studs and all that.
Oh,
fun.
that
And
was
then
the
that was
glamour,
so
the glamour, diabolical.
The puns they had on that list that we were looking at, like just the detail that they put in there.
Lost and stolen instead of lost and found.
What is the mind?
Mind control. You've already RSVP'd.
That was a session. That was like a breakout session. Was mind control.
Breakout sessions.
You've already RSVP'd. Yeah.
I think all henchmen must be accompanied by a mad scientist.
False sense of security room. Yeah.
One of my favorites was the Lair B&B.
Yes, Lair
B&B
The
was
travel booth. There was
Yes.
like a travel agent booth, and it was the Lair B&B. That was cute.
One of the things that queue reminded me of a little bit is Simpsons, where I love the queue of the Simpsons because you have those screens and you're laughing going through there.
You're right.
It's very Simpsons-like, but in the best way possible.
The line moved quickly because of the way that the moving walkway means that people are constantly getting on. So you're constantly moving and seeing something new. It makes. How long did we wait for it? 30 minutes or something? It seemed like
First time was 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes
Yeah.
and then like 30 minutes.
22
22 minutes. There you go.
It
With
seemed
a
like
posted
nothing.
wait time of 60.
Yeah.
And then
That's
it was
right.
down to 45, and I felt like that was even
Yeah.
About 15.
Yeah, it felt like nothing. It felt like we were looking at everything and then we got to ride. Like it didn't feel like waiting.
You were just boarding on, yeah.
So with that being said, let's talk about the ride.
The gun pickup.
Well,
the gun pickup.
right. So
the end of the queue is
right.
where you pick up your gun. Kind of like a 3D glasses area where they have the station, and it's just kind of a moving conveyor belt. If you've ever been to those cafeterias where they have the tray returns, it's on a moving conveyor belt. It's like that, but for the guns, because they're charging in the slots where they return the guns to. And you pick up a gun. There's an attendant there telling you which guns are good to pick up and not.
So I have a little bit of a pickle with that. So the attendee's there, and there's a conveyor belt going with the guns, and you can't really hear. There's a lot of commotion, and all I heard was, just pick up the one that's either blue or something else, and then blue or but it's like, why not, to make it quicker, just grab the guns and give it to the person so you keep the line, because there's so many people sitting there, probably because there's so many people sitting there, and they were all just staring at each other, and some people, you know, the language barrier, and you're not understanding.
Like
they're gonna have someone passing them out.
Yeah. So one of the things that I noticed, we actually skipped over, is story, right? So one of the issues.
Well, I did say the Vicious Six, the recruiting, I remember.
Well, yeah, but once you get into the ride, the first time we rode it, we were all so confused.
There is no instruction whatsoever about what you're going to do on the ride.
That's it.
Yeah, literally, there's one line that goes,
cause as much mayhem as possible.
That's it. That's your goal
Doesn't
is
tell you what to shoot.
Now, in fairness, we did miss the 3 giant posters that said what the rules of the ride were the first time we went on.
They're not
They're not explanatory.
I was trying to read it. So
It's
the
very
worker's standing in front of those like rules.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking around him, and he's standing there smiling. Just smiling at me, and I was like, I'm trying to read. It was so hard to see them because he literally was saying they're going to need more training, like as days come on.
So I feel like with the instructions that we get in the beginning, the story, and then as we're going through the con, you're seeing everything and you're getting pumped, and then you go into that room and it's really quick. You're getting your gun and you're moving. No one's telling you anything.
You almost immediately bored after you get your gun.
You really do. And with that, like, how did we know? We didn't know what was going on, but you should have somebody at least saying, like, hey, make sure you do this, make sure you do that.
The icon, so you have your gun, you get your gun. Your gun has a little digital display, and it shows you what your villain name is. It'll say like Villain 84, Fiend 69, and it'll have a little icon. And that's your icon that you're going to be, that's how you see what your laser point is on the screens. But the problem is there's 20 people in a room, and there's 20 of these little tiny icons.
Zero instructions. Like
There's zero instructions.
And now, again, they're in technical rehearsal, so obviously they'll get better.
Yeah,
but like
definitely.
one of the things we learned on the second time around, so there is a billboard there that says you can use the app to touch your gun, and then
Which is not functional at the time.
It's not functional, it's not working now, but they have an app built in where you're going to be able to sync your gun to the app. You can name your character. You keep track of your scores over long periods of time. And if you come out the other end, you'll actually show up on a screen with your name,
leaderboard,
which is super cool.
It's like laser tag.
Yes, it also shows you your. That's the thing. You don't know what you're doing. And the other thing on the gun is you have 2 buttons you can shoot. You have a banana cannon, I think they called it, or something like that. And then you have.
It wasn't just a banana cannon.
No, it changes. It changes to other things. But that's like your grenade launcher. And then you have like a trigger, which is like your just regular trigger. And the lady told me, she goes, the regular unlimited ammo, and that's how you collect things. But the grenade launcher is more to expose things so that you can collect with.
It causes destruction, but you have a limited amount of rounds of that special ammo.
And it shows you on that screen.
It does. It has like a heads-up display on your gun.
The screen's very cool, but you just don't look at it. You don't spend enough time looking at it.
The only time I would look at my gun is when we were at the second part, when we were all in competition, like who's gonna get it, and I kept checking the number. But that's all I'm focusing on, because as you're going through, like, I don't have time to sit there, check it, look at my loading, the power up. I'm just shooting and going and.
Yeah, during the ride, if you look down, you're just missing points. You just cannot. You have to go. Actually, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just glad I'm better at this game than Men in Black. That's all I'm.
Man, speaking of Men in Black, if they were to like add that functionality to track your scores and put a name, amazing.
Yeah. It
Also,
really does open the door for Men in Black to have an upgrade.
It does.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Because that's all I could think about the first time we did it was how it kind of opens up to the next phase of technology for theme parks.
Yes.
epic. The other thing, mentioning Men in Black, I think we have a new competitor for best AC in the parks.
Oh, God.
That queue going in there was ice cold. It was.
Oh yeah,
it was delicious.
But
I loved it.
The outside queue, though, they had so many fans going.
Yeah.
It felt cool. I wasn't hot and muggy. Like, it actually felt good being outside.
Yeah, I was gonna give them props on the fans. We've never ridden Shrek like when Shrek was here. We did, but we didn't stand in line for it. And it was at night. So I was always worried because every time we walked by Shrek, the line would be, an hour and a half long.
Well, they also have the HHN queue. It's always so hot.
Yeah.
What
What
I did like too is that there's an open area, and they put what are those? Cafe lights. Yeah, they did the string lights, and then they had cover, which is great too, because if it rains or if the sun is beating, you're not really out in the sun. You have cover, which is nice. Universal should incorporate that in all their rides.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just a second. Still my catchphrase.
Sorry.
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, so let's continue moving on to this ride. So you get your gun, and they put you on a people mover, escalator type thing, just all flat, right?
Just dots on the floor.
Dots on the floor.
And don't move.
And so before we'll get to that.
Wait, there were dots?
There was certain party members in our group that may or may not have followed the rules. Now,
all the things that we said that they wouldn't.
that's what I would say, right? So let's just. I'm going to preface this with.
Extremely gray.
After riding that the first time, we were basically saying they did everything that we said they could not do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a good thing.
No.
They did everything,
We
right?
foresee a lot of issues.
Yeah, they're like, there's no way they're gonna have a freestanding thing that you just stay in one spot. That's how it is. There's no way they're gonna give handheld, not just a gun, like it's a full rocket launcher. It's a huge, heavy gun.
Hard plastic.
Yes, it's huge, and I'm like, there's no way it's not gonna be corded and like you can roam around. Nope, you can walk around with it.
You can do whatever the heck you want.
I know that they also have probably a lot of those guns too, but think of the charging mechanism on that and like the process to go through and how many guns are going to die along the way.
You know, I'm not super confident in the gun tech right now. Only, and I say this, it was day one of technical rehearsals for the general public, and we had broken guns already.
Yeah.
Some of them were not
calibrated
properly. No, some of them, the mics didn't, like the speaker was just like rubbish. No sound, some of them. So again, they can work through these things,
I feel
right?
like there's going to be a couple versions, and this is
Has to be.
version one.
And we've all said this, like, it's a kid's ride, but it's not for young kids.
A
Because
3-year-old could not hold that gun, and I mean our fingers, all of our fingers, and our shoulders were dead.
we rode it back to back, and the second time
We all had to
felt
take
like it was a
breaks.
workout. We had to take a break.
We had to take breaks because it was so hard to hoist that gun up.
It's not just the hoisting; it is the trigger, because this is not like Men in Black where you hold
hold
it.
down the-
You have to.
be triggering like you guys.
That's when you want a big score. You got to trigger. Yeah.
If you guys could see the movement.
So you get on this conveyor belt, and now you're going
Not
through.
tonight, dear, my favorite.
You're going through different rooms with these giant screens, highly themed as well. It's not just a room with a screen. You have all these cool.
Some of them
set
are, but
pieces.
most of them have practical effects and pieces that are built in.
So how do you guys think the actual ride was?
So fun.
I thought it was great.
Absolute, so much fun, but utter chaos. Just complete and utter chaos.
By utter chaos, she means just sometimes you didn't even know what you're doing. You're just shooting at a screen.
When we got into the first room, I was just going, what the hell is going on? I have no idea what we're doing.
For any little kids with ADD, it's the perfect ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
Or
true.
worst nightmare for their parents, because they're going to be taken off down the wall.
Kyle.
Okay, so there happened to be some. There were
Mr. Shoot Your Own Exhaust Port.
I noticed voids in between groups, and I took advantage of that free space.
You specifically.
And I backtracked and ran all over. I shot over people's heads. I shot under people's arms.
All right. Okay, here's an actual critique is that so you're standing on your dot, supposedly, honor system you're staying on your dot. I think the real reason, besides
those
the
are
fact
suggestions.
the suggestive
like expiration dates on food.
the suggestive dots on the floor are different colors. So there's an orange dot or a blue dot. You're on the orange dot, and they alternate. But the problem is that the way that the moving walkway works is all on little partitions that rotate and spin. So if you're not on your spot and you happen to be standing on a joint where you feel it, so you're gonna fall because it's twisting underneath your feet. You're like, oh shoot!
Yeah. Which is probably why it's so important to stay on your dot.
Yeah, maybe stay on your dot.
Well, I was just going to bring that up because, big-feeted people.
Yeah.
I mean,
David needs like a
The dots are a little too close in my opinion, especially for adults. For kids, I think it would be fine.
If you were up right against me and
We
if
all
I turned,
Yeah, everybody was on each other except Kyle running around.
I think they did put a couple of dots in between parties, though.
Yeah, in between parties they do, but for your party.
In your party, you're right next to each other.
But here's the problem, right? It's not just that you're close to somebody; it's that you have a 36-inch long gun, and you're turning from back to front.
Yes, that's the problem. They have screens on both the left side and the right side of the room. So you could be shooting the left side of the room, and you want to go shoot the right side of the room. You're whipping your gun out to the right and clunking people head. I hit Alexa. I hit Joni. You're knocking into people because you're right next to each other with these long-ass guns. Sorry.
Believe it or not.
Edit.
Long butt guns.
Long butt guns.
They're lags, long-ass guns.
my big problem was how close the dots were, and you're saying that everyone's like
It's very close.
this tiny, like no.
And it's not even like dots next to each other. It's like staggered dots, like a triangle type of thing. So they're really.
Within 24
I would say
within like 24 inches apart. But yeah, they were adding spaces in between like groups, you know. And I'm sure they'll like kind of tweak that.
They can tweak that. That's an easy tweak. The spacing on that that's not a problem for sure.
I think the spacing people out solves a number of the small problems. If you're not hitting people, that's one thing. Also, there's too many things happening on screen with 20 people shooting at the same time. If it's 10 people shooting, it's less hectic. Yeah. We also noticed that the screens lagged at times a little bit when people were everybody shooting the same things and so many explosions happening. If there's less of that happening, maybe the processing works better. Yeah. So it might be something that they just learn in the first week and it gets better. But you also want good capacity for the line to move. So it's a trade-off.
Balance. You have to exactly.
And it's technical rehearsal.
Yeah, like
it's technically rehearsed.
Like Steven was saying, is if you've ever played a video game like Call of Duty or something that has a lot of stuff going on at once, the game can't keep up with it. Mm-hmm. So you start to see jitters, you start to see this lagging and stuttering, and we noticed that the last screen especially, but almost
anything.
Every a lot of them, I would see them jitter. Both times we rode, they would jitter, they would do that. Again, fixable. The same thing with the gun. So like the guns need to have a better calibration because the first time I had my gun, point it forward and it was at least 4 feet upward. So I had to aim downward at everything. It was kind of weird, but something they can fix.
Just calibrating.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably the oddball out in this group. It's not that I didn't like it. It's a great ride. It's fun. I think it's a good people eater, and it's a cool down. Obviously, the factors that we spoke about. My big thing is just the storyline. It's really not understanding anything and then just going in this conveyor belt and shooting, and then you're coming out. And I mean, everything is great and fun, but I really don't understand. I get it now that you guys explain the story and you're part of the six, but it's like
even it's just a premise. It's just a little premise. It's not like an actual story.
They give you the basic story, but they don't tell you the mechanics of how the game works. Yes. What are you shooting at? What are you aiming
That's the
for?
other thing, because it's not just
we
shooting.
Still don't know.
It is shooting and collecting stuff.
Yeah.
You like there's coins. There's coins, but I don't know if that's points. And then also you can charge up your gun, and that is displayed on your LED screen on the gun. But we don't know how you do it. You just shoot on screen.
So I can tell you a portion of that. So when we came out of the first ride, I spoke with one of the attendees, and he basically said that what you need to do is shoot everything, and you want to look for the little boxes with powers in them. And when you hit those, they go in your gun, and then your gun will speak to you, which my gun did, and it would tell you like, oh yeah, we're ready or something, and then charge up, and then I would start like hitting things.
Could you actually hear your gun or no?
Yeah, I heard my gun. And then the guy was also telling me that there's music notes which I was trying to shoot at, and then your gun would play music for you.
There's no way I'd hear music
I
there.
did notice that. I was just trying to shoot random boxes and stuff for power-ups, but I did notice music
see the
playing.
music notes on the area where it looked like Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Where it's that one did have music
kind of
notes.
cool.
Yeah.
Nope. Joni and I had no sound.
But how could you
Not
even
at all.
really see? Well, besides the sound, how could you really even see anything on that screen with a ton of people shooting? Yeah, you don't know what the hell.
Yeah,
is
that's-
going on.
that's-
people shooting at the same time.
It goes back to
And the
what
thing-
Steven was saying about there's too
Yeah.
many things going on one
Yeah.
screen. So when you shoot, you hit something, it blows
And
up.
then you think
but
you shot it, but someone else shot it.
and there's 10 different cursors on the screen shooting.
different colors.
Every room we walk in, you have to re-find your cursor again because there's 75 of them on the screen. It's it's chaos. It's
I
chaos.
will say the last screen is the best screen, though. Oh, yeah.
I kind of don't want to spoil it for them.
Yeah, no, we won't get into that.
The last,
It's just. Is it?
Oh,
because
technically,
it's
the last main screen.
one
The last one main
shoot
screen.
at,
The last one you can shoot at and score points is
It's
so
Mayhem.
fun.
It was surprising.
Pure mayhem.
Minion Mayhem. It's Minion Mayhem.
See, I feel like this ride is the one that should be called Minion Mayhem.
Yes.
Not
That
the
was-
one.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because it caused
This is
Producers
Mayhem.
Club mayhem.
But it was fun. I mean,
Yes.
so fun.
So speaking of fun, right? Is fun factor for you? What was it?
Honestly, getting us all together to have that competitive, like, it's just another Men in Black competitive thing, which
Yes.
I love. I love us all getting together and just shooting and where are you at? What are you doing? I get the, it's the chaos, I guess, that I enjoy.
100%. I agree completely. Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, and it's way up there. To me, it's way up there near Cat in the Hat, to be honest with you. I know it was. I love that movie, though. I don't know why.
I know. We were talking about it in line.
Yeah, but I think it's
You have
great.
a connection to it.
Yeah, connection to it. It's great. I love the technology of it. And once they work out the kinks and the bugs,
Once they
it's
work
gonna
out
be,
the kinks, that is going to be a really good
and it's going to be a
ride.
real good, like, I don't know, like, imagine getting off of that and then going and hopping on Transformers. I mean, it just keeps your
momentum up.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
And we'll get to something else after, but yes, that's a really good
Yeah,
point.
in terms of like, we talk about a lot about screen-based attractions at Universal. I feel like this does a very good job of integrating
balance.
the screens and practical. And I just thought it was a fun. I mean, I'm the odd man out maybe by saying this, but I would prefer that shooter attraction to any other shooter attraction in the Orlando area. Sorry, Lee. I know you already hate me for several things, but this is going to be another one to add to your list. But this is way better than MIB to me, just for pure fun. It was just fun. You get to, like, you look at each other's screens and see, oh, how are you doing? What are you doing? You're yelling. And
after you're whacking someone in
after
the
you whack them in the head, you ask, oh, sorry. Hey, how are you doing? You having fun? You know, it's just, you get to yell and shout with your friends.
I
And
like that we were free.
we were free, yeah.
That was
I didn't like being trapped
We
down.
weren't
That was
anchored
nice.
down. Yeah. No, it was pure fun for me. Except my arm hurt really bad. And that is, well, I'll get to that.
Yes.
I thought if you look at it as an upgrade over Shrek, definitely a huge boon to the park. If you're thinking of it as like, well, we just got Velocicoaster, let's get another marquee attraction. Like, it's not quite that, and I don't think it's meant to be. Like we've said before, it's a good people eater. It's definitely something that every time I go, if the wait time is 30, 40, maybe 50, I would go on it for sure.
And it's a good front of the park attraction too.
I wouldn't
capacity in the front of the park. Yeah.
And it starts your day off
Yeah.
with a bang.
Well, they hit a home run with the whole reef theme.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Oh, and the
That
re-theming,
theming,
yes.
theming alone
Yes.
is...
Oh, the theming is
The
incredible.
theming is 10 out of 10, I think.
On point.
Yeah.
Probably one of... Like, it's up there, I think, with queue theming in the parks.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like,
It was
especially
entertaining
the indoor
to go
theming,
through the
because the indoor
theming,
theming, I said this to you or somebody, I forgot, but it was like, you're in real life, but it makes you feel like you're in a cartoon when you're inside that queue. It's
It's
just...
like, go visit booth, blah, blah, blah.
Fun factor?
My opinion, they had a small footprint to work with, and what they were able to do was create a really fun ride. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty it. I absolutely loved it. I think it's a great replacement, and Shrek was way past its prime. Yeah. It had like 5 years where it should have been just closed. Like,
maybe longer.
I still like Men in Black as a shooter better, but it's still a fun ride, and yeah, I mean, that's it.
And I think it's clearly meant for families. You can bring whatever you're carrying on it. You don't have to go to a locker.
No lockers needed.
And Universal needs more of that. Oh yeah, we saw Newborn Baby League on it. So yeah, can bring your whole family.
Your newborn with you.
And it's like a good ride length too. It didn't feel too short. Like, you know what I mean? Like you felt like you had like a good amount of fun. Like, and it was worth the wait.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean,
overall, like a 4 out of 5. If they fix things, it'll be like a 5 out of 5. Definitely, I can see that. Yeah.
Look, and I always like to set the right expectations. Like you said, it's like this is not a Velocicoaster. It's like you said, it is. You got to think about what it took over. It took over Shrek. You did not take away
like Jaws.
You didn't take away Men in Black and give us this. Or you didn't take away like the big e-ticket attractions to give us this thing. You took away something that should have been gone, and you gave us a unique ride experience. It may not be for everybody. Some people will come on there and just hate it right off the bat. I liked it. I have problems with the tech, but the tech can be fixed.
It can be fixed.
It can be fixed.
I think all of the things that we have complained about can be fixed, with the one exception of the gun weight.
Yeah. Oh, well, the gun thing is that's a big problem. Because we were just talking about this before we started recording, but this is kind of it's supposed to be a kid's ride. Yeah. But realistically,
it's really not.
You got to like Noah would not be able to do
and
it.
that was
like
the first
7 or 8 at least.
So let's get into criticisms a little bit. So the first thought that I had was, while I had fun many times during the attraction, I'm like, oh my god, my arm hurts. And you have to take a break and like shake out your arm, because these things are heavy. You gotta like work out, if you're right-handed, work out your left biceps, because you're gonna get tired.
You feel it up your arm and everything.
Your upper arms are gonna be sore. Your deltoids are gonna be so sore because they're heavy. So if I'm struggling to hoist this gun up for the length of the attraction, I cannot imagine my 4-year-old having to wield this thing, and the screens are not level with you either.
No.
They're elevated, and a lot of them are up on the ceiling or on the sides of the walls.
That's a really good point, because
how is he gonna?
A shorter kid is
how are
not
they
going to be able to see through the.
They're gonna have to angle it all the way up.
Question: when we were walking through, is it like the moving walkway where it's going opposite? Because then they can kind of sit their gun on it and shoot.
Maybe I didn't think.
I don't remember.
Is the rail moving?
Maybe that's the move. Like act like a sniper and just get on your knees and just start shooting.
Well, so the thing I said was, I feel like the first addition that we're gonna see to these guns is them adding straps, because that solves a couple of issues. First of all, for the weight, to take some of the weight off of your arms, but then also it's a safety thing. It's like the Wii things. You know, you're supposed to wear the safety strap, because what if we kept saying, what if you drop your gun? It's very likely that you will drop your gun or throw it, accidentally whipping around, you lose control of it. People are gonna be yeeting their guns into oblivion. So if you put a strap, and it's like a mandatory, you have to have your strap around your neck at all times. Then little kids, keep your strap on. You know, you've gotta have the little kids with the straps on your.
You have to also think about anybody with medical conditions too.
Yes.
That's really heavy for them to hold the entire time.
What about accessibility? People who have short limbs or are missing a limb.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Wheelchair is not at all. You can't go on this ride in a wheelchair.
I don't think you can ride this with a wheelchair because of the way it turns.
The segments are too narrow. Where they.
Not just that, but I think you couldn't. And then you can turn around. You can't.
No, I feel like it has to be big enough for like a wheelchair. Or
It
something.
wasn't that. No, it's not.
Think about the corners.
It's kind of weird. Unless they assume that you have to look straight, like they put you straight in a wheelchair, and then you got to do this. But that sounds very uncomfortable.
That's limited. Because a lot of people are also limited.
Yeah. Was there space beside the moving walkway on either side?
Very little.
Because if the thing is turning and you're supposed to be on a dot and you're on a wheelchair,
you're not in a dot.
You're not. The moving walkway.
You're in between at least one, if not two, joints of those segments of moving walkway.
And you have to be careful around the joints. Like I thought I was going to lose a toe a couple times. Just I wear Chacos and.
Well, it catches you off guard if you're not on that dot, because you don't actually stay on the dot.
Yeah, so it kind of scared me.
One of us stayed on the dot. Very carefully on my dot.
She is not above the law.
No, I'm not above the law.
I looked it up and it says you can be in a wheelchair.
It is wheelchair?
It says on the ride. You can remain in a standard wheelchair throughout.
Literally how?
But here's the thing. Okay, whether you can or can't, but how is the experience?
I feel like
I don't think.
You're limited to the screen that's in front of you the entire time.
Yeah.
You're not going to be looking around.
And then, if you can look around,
You can't spin your wheelchair around in the middle of the experience to go to the back wall.
But it's
whichever
wider
wall.
than you guys remember, because I was running behind all of you. There was plenty of space for you guys to not even notice.
No. The width of the walkways I'm talking about. I'm talking about the width of each individual segment is what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
The
but
spacing of the segments.
It's not going to, like,
I don't know. But I'm saying, like the width of a wheelchair is wider than one of those individual segments.
Yeah. You're going to be on 2 or 3.
Oh, I think if you're doing a wheelchair thing, I think it's like
I think
probably
stop
take
it.
somebody.
They must stop.
No, because you can push it right on, but you're gonna be. Oh, you take 3 spots, right? Like your party is this. You 5 go, and you're gonna have 8 spots.
I need
don't
to
know.
see it in action.
It's clear. Yeah.
Oh, we can try it again.
I know.
See, yeah,
We
we
need to help back.
All right,
Let's go.
All this Minion talk's got me up. Any other critiques?
Well, regarding the weight of the gun, I think me and you talked earlier about maybe for smaller children, having like smaller preloaded like guns.
A mock gun. Yeah, a mock gun.
A mock gun. Where it still like does all the
shoots and everything.
It'll keep the kids busy because they'll think they're part of it.
They don't have to track a cursor.
It's
and they
you
can
don't have
still
to put the technology in it, like to the extreme of the counting.
You can even make it vibrate when they hit the button.
Give it haptic feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a digital display that it just counts up every time they squeeze the trigger, but they're not actually playing.
just like when they sell in the gift shop.
And then it makes them happy.
Very, very light.
David, get on the phone. Guest services right now. Call them.
As soon as we release this episode, they're like, "Oh, we have these new haptic feedbacks on non-functional guns."
Also. And then take some cursors off the screen.
Yeah. I think
space them out, please.
My final takeaway would be, with us living 8 hours away, we drove down here for Haggard's opening. We drove down here for Velocicoaster. I would not have driven down here specifically for this ride. I'm so super thankful that we were here when it opened, but I would not have driven 8 hours just to ride it day one.
Again, this is not.
That kind of sways.
This is not.
Velocicoaster.
It is not an e-ticket attraction. It is just another attraction that they put there, and that's fine. You can't have a full park.
But I had a blast doing it.
I may be a simple-minded man.
So you had a Minion Blast?
Hey, I may be simple-minded, but it blew my doors off. It's blue. I was blown away because I had like the queue area, the ride itself.
It's as an overall experience, I think it hits a lot of like really good, areas of what you'd want in an attraction.
Yeah.
Even we didn't mention this, but the gift shop that you get let into, I liked it. And I think their merch is fantastic.
It is elevated.
It's also funky colors, like the bright
It's all funky.
It's different. Oh, I love them.
Can't you make a? Oh yeah, you can make a.
You can make your own VillainCon badge with your picture.
Now, when you get your,
I have to do that today.
You do your app, you get your name, you do your VillainCon badge, and it's legit. That's it.
This is literally probably the foundation for some of the stuff we're going to be seeing.
Yes.
At Epic. Yeah, like it's because even the app for the gun, it's literally just tap the gun. So it's using a QR.
Super Mario.
I was gonna say it's akin to what they'll be doing with. They must have done the technology for Super Mario, but we can translate
and now
this.
They see that it
because
works.
when you get off the ride, the first thing you see is a leaderboard. It's like laser tag, where you see your scores and who's got the top scores of the day.
How fast it's
now, I just have a question on the merch. You obviously ride Minions with Noah.
Right.
Is that merch in that store? Is that a lot of that stuff new, or that's?
No, that's a lot of new.
I think no.
I don't really go inside.
It's all like evil villain.
Have a bad day. I love the have a bad day stuff.
It's just pure means the unicorns and things like that.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Minions. Like I don't have like a full wardrobe of Minion attire,
It's fun.
but that new shop, it's cute. There were several things, especially in the Bake My Day too. That shop is super cute. There were things that I was like, I want that shirt. I want those ears. Like there were several.
They had
things
some
that
shorts there that I really liked. They're like training shorts that you would wear. Those are really cool.
I thought they were sleep shorts.
PJ shorts?
No. This is like a dry fit material shorts that you could wear in the park.
See,
we want those.
I see you wearing those.
They sell a scale model of the gun you use on the ride.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
As a toy.
Can you imagine if that was the size of the gun in the ride? Like, that would,
It's about 20% of the weight of the actual gun. The actual gun's like probably around 8 pounds.
I would say 8 pounds.
That to incorporate in the gun,
Yeah,
which
that's
makes
the
it
that's the
heavy.
other reason why. There's a lot of tech in the gun
understood.
because it's not just like Men in Black that you just shoot a
You
laser.
can make this huge rocket launcher to put on my shoulder.
I'm very curious now about what you said about the Rooney Walkway rail. is if does it move with
Yeah.
the track, because then you can rest your gun.
Yeah, you can rest your gun on it, and then even kids, you know.
Okay.
And I could also use that because I was tired.
Let him use finger guns.
Spider-Man style.
One finger, two fingers.
Any other final thoughts here, guys?
It's a good one.
I think we kind
Let's
of
go
went
ride
through it. I do kind of want to ride it now after talking about it.
If you ride the ride and you're extremely confused, just know everybody else is.
Even
But
to the
it's
point,
a lot of fun.
Even to the point that the guy working there, like the employees don't know
Oh,
certain
yeah.
things.
They're like,
Because I was like, so we
Boss
recorded.
man
First, Jill did.
different answers from everybody.
Jill did the live recording in the producers club through the entire queue, and you can see that it's awesome. The second time we wrote it, there was a lady with her phone out, and the employee's like, "You got to put your camera away once you get into this area." And I turned back to her and go, "We recorded this entire thing. Also, there's no employees in here."
There's nobody.
Also,
There's nobody.
we have
Above
like
the law.
10 pictures of us holding the gun.
Yes.
Everything.
And then I remember going to the guy before we got on, because you stopped your live, and I'm like, I want to record the ride. And I go to the guy, I go, "Can I film this?" He's like, "I don't know, just do it." I go, "Okay." No, it's new. It's they don't know. Right?
They don't know, yeah.
It's day one of technical rehearsal.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I will give them
They
all
don't
the
know.
slack. Absolutely.
So let's use. No, are you allowed to?
We don't know.
I don't know.
Ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
If I can give one little takeaway, yes, shoot everything, but just go for the squares, the cubes with the power ups. Just do that. And
Also,
that's it.
shoot the minions for fun.
Oh yeah.
They get like electrocuted.
Okay, so wait, we gotta say.
You probably
so
have a power up.
I won the first
I love
round.
the crispy one.
Yeah,
We got off. We got off. I won the first round, and then we did it again, and then David got. I got 780 something the first time. You got 806, and then Alexa.
Chris got
814. I was like, oh, I
Chris
won.
got 814.
I got 816.
And here's the weird thing, and I think it happened to you, Kyle.
What's that?
Where we did the ride the first time, we have zero clue of what's going on.
I did worse the second time.
And then we all read the rules. We all are like, all right, we have a strategy. We had guns that work better. And Kyle's like, I did everything I should have and more, and I did worse than the first time of just shooting randomly at nothing.
Me did.
Yeah. So-
Me did. Me did.
Me did. I'm so proud of me.
Me ship the
Yeah, no, Jillian won the first round and then was dead last the second round.
I did the same
It
thing.
really made no sense.
So the
Well, I
second
came in
time,
last and then I came in first. So
the second time I tried hitting things like, because they said create as much, mayhem as you
Mayhem.
can. So I was hitting like the dinosaur, I was hitting all the minions, I was hitting everything, like all the, in the secret, room we won't speak of, I was hitting all the icons and I sucked completely.
So I was going more for the cubes and the coins.
That's what I did the first
I think
time.
the
Coins the
coins
second
are
time was I was going for
giving
coins like
you-
crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the
So
only
like
audible
coins.
noise I heard
Yes.
was the coin.
cha-ching.
The cha-ching is
cha-ching.
the only thing I could hear.
But
The
that's
music
thing.
sounded very
but
faint.
nothing in the queue tells you
About
you're
coins.
aiming for cubes or coins or these memorabilia, the little videotape, cassette tapes, or the
It's on. There's some stuff on the walls, but like we were talking about, they can just add a snippet of this into the video.
Yes, in the video.
Just put a video. Just add a little.
Just a
extra
sign on
thing.
the walls. A sign on the walls.
Nobody's reading the sign.
Nobody's reading it. Nobody's
Hey
seeing
guys,
it.
before you board, here's
Yeah.
a couple things.
Here's some hints and rules.
Itchy, scratchy,
And have
Simpsons.
exactly. Have like minions getting shocked and showing how you upgrade your gun.
Sounds
And,
like it sounds like the Men in Black, Do Right and Doofus. It sounds like that guy. It's very similar, and he's saying it the exact same way as Doofus and Do Right. I don't know what these characters are. We didn't have time.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to watch it.
Kind of like a safety video.
It's like 3 steps and you're gone.
It's telling you story. It's not telling you actual instruction about what you're doing on the ride proper.
Imagine being a 10-year-old who's probably not going to read anything, who's going to just get on the ride, and it's going to cause mayhem. Yeah.
But a 10-year-old that plays first-person shooting games, that's going to be the greatest ride, the greatest attraction of their life.
Like this, the actual game aspect reminds me of as a kid who used to love going to the arcades and burning through quarters. It reminds me of those boss battles. Yeah, like the boss battles where
You just
you just shoot at the screen and it's just trying to kill you over. You're just popping quarters in there, and it kind of gives me that like feel to it. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's not a bad ride. It's not as bad as some of the criticism we've been reading about and seeing
Yeah.
Absolutely.
review-wise. I think
I also think
some people are expecting like
best of the best
another
quality.
Velocicoaster and
Yeah.
then getting this and being like, well, this just sucks.
No. And especially, you said before about comparing it to its predecessor, which is Shrek. Shrek was... Nobody was going on Shrek.
No.
Literally nobody was going on Shrek.
No.
They were getting like maybe like, what, 100 people a day
Yeah.
on Shrek, but now you're getting like a good capacity attraction that's actually going to draw people in. I think it's going to help. It's going to help.
Vibrant.
Yeah, vibrant is the best word. Vibrant is very
I
good.
would say it's an improvement. It's an improvement for me over Minion Mayhem too. I actually would definitely go on this over Minion
I would
Mayhem.
go this over Minion Mayhem 1,000%.
It's a breath of fresh air that the Universal side is getting a good attraction.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
Islands has been knocking it out of the park with Haggard and Velocicoaster.
I've been saying just the Minion like cafe and all that theming.
Yeah.
I love because it adds
I do
new
too.
life to the front of the park.
It's actually
It's just
really good
so
food, too.
very good food,
Because Fast and
which we have to eat
Furious-
again or eat today.
No, Fast and Furious is dead. It's a boat anchor. It's terrible.
Yes.
And it's just
and
good.
that took away 2 attractions
Yeah.
that were
Right.
actually really
how
well
many
accepted.
years
So
did
now
it
you took away one attraction that everybody says, get rid of this, give you something else. I think it's a fair trade-off.
Is this still going to be used as an HHN house? Do we think?
No, I don't- I don't
There's no
think so.
way,
No,
right?
no, I
Because they
think
don't have the
there's-
theaters anymore.
Well, they didn't use it last year because they were doing the Minion.
But that was that you could attribute that to construction, but I don't think that there's a space for it now. They've gotten rid of the theaters. Yeah. Or did they? Wait, did I hear that they kept one of the Shrek
There are
theaters?
2 theaters.
Did I hear that they kept one of them as for HHN?
I don't remember.
I mean,
Possibly.
if that queue is functioning the way that it is, and we were going through it the way that we were, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't just keep the.
That's another great point is that we were only doing
great.
one theater.
Right.
Are they doing this in both theaters?
Yeah.
And if they do, that's even more throughput that you can have.
But when going in, there was only one
There's
way
only
in.
one entry.
It
Yeah.
was,
I
didn't
don't
seem
think
like
that
there
there
was a
was.
second,
That's
unless
what-
they
it's both
utilized that
combined
entire
for sure.
area.
You think
That's
so?
why I think they might have
Yeah.
used both.
Well, you're also going, like, it's illusionary because you can be going behind walls and now you think you're in another area.
It's like cat in a hat.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if I heard that correctly, that they kept one of the theaters for strictly for HHN.
Or maybe it's just that big of a queue that we don't see it or notice, and it's using both.
I love how this podcast always goes back to HHN.
It always
goes back to HHN. Somebody turned it off already. They're like, nah.
All the time about HHN, they can turn it off.
Yeah. All right. I think we beat this one to death.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
I think we're gonna beat some Minions later. Again. We're gonna do it again. I think we need to eat some Minions food, ride Minions ride.
Yes. And then Men in Black to compare them.
And- yes.
Yeah.
We should bring the gun on Men in Black and be like, I have brought my own.
No, there's no way that you can steal these guns.
No.
There's absolutely.
You gotta tuck it under your shirt, like, sir. I'm like, what?
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Take off running. You put it in your back. You're waddling out. This 7-foot long gun.
No? Okay. All right. I think that's going to do it here for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this review. Go check it out. It's a fun time. Have an open mind and, have fun. Yeah, exactly.
It's just fun.
Yeah. Right. Well, see you on the flippity flop.
Catch you on the